map, so not really a big issue. Or maybe it could actually play to their advantage, as we mentioned before, playing towards the edge of the ring. Whereas we have Entity, obviously a very strong team, playing well today. Mayhem as well in the center of the circle, currently 16th. So this is one of those games where they can try and get a solid finish and try and get themselves maybe away from that near finish or near exiting out of the play-ins position.
So, look, the guys, previous casters, John and Blank, the analysis, they've talked about how bad Orange Rock are doing so far. 3 games in and 4 points. They haven't had, so to speak, a break for the day, and it's hard to deal with that.
Yeah, a team as well on our screens right now, Salty Squad. This is one that I'm going to be looking at, especially on Sandhawk. In the group stages, they came second and third in multiple matches, and it's considered their best map overall in PUBG Mobile. And especially as they are currently 21st, Imperium, they need to get a high placing here on their best map for their best chance to go forward. And as you said before, we're playing in an ETG world currently, as here they are now on our screens, going for that 4th win consecutively.
So let's talk about the mental state of the game and how these teams deal with whether they're in a really good position or whether they're in a really bad position. I'm looking at ETG Brawlers. They have 3 routes that they can go down for the remaining games of the play-ins. They can go 1, play the same they have for the first 3 games, or 2, they can play strategically. They can play strategically of playing safe and not letting the teams kind of find out their strategy or their positional play or their rotations, or they can go hard, go in and get as many kills as they can. Don't worry about the results.
Again on our screens as well, INS, a team that when I was back here in June for the Spring Split Finals, they were one of the touted teams to basically win the whole thing. Cartoons actually was the highest fragging player going into that event, and then he was recently replaced by Drigger. Goes to show the fall-off that he's had, which is such a shame as he was such a lovely guy. Trusty Process, Dave's favourite team so far. And big surprise. And you as well, to be fair, Imperium, you did call them out.
One of my favourite teams. And low-key, I'm a huge fan of all these Nepali teams. The reason why is because back in the Spring Split, the Nepali teams were in the wildcard region, and I had the pleasure of commentating and casting the wildcard region of Spring Split, so I did find a deep love for the Nepali teams.
Big cluster of teams here towards Quarry, Fnatic, Entity, Mayhem, Orb, and ETG Brawlers as well making their rotation in.
So when we look at the likes of EX, they have to try and rotate down south past Ruins. It would be much safer for them to head down south, go around Camp Charlie, and then enter into the circle via either Cave, or even go a little bit further and head around just between Cave and Docks. Definitely a southern rotation would be much safer.
Would you agree as well, maybe for Orb, who are playing towards Cave, to potentially watch their back and expect rotations to come for those 2 bridges towards Camp Charlie?
100%, especially Sandhawk's such a small area. You have to watch every single degree of angle. You have to have all 4 players covering all angles.
So there is an airdrop currently towards the eastern side of the map, just south of Camp Bravo. If we could see what's inside that airdrop as well, that'd be nice to see if there's any tasty loot in there. But again, it's so exposed. I mean, you've got Reckoning Esports, you have INS fairly close. They may try and reach out for that and grab it. But then again, you are taking a huge risk, especially on such an open map like this. Fnatic on our screens currently, obviously joining one of the biggest organizations globally in esports. And in their last match on Miramar, finishing second, and this is another game for them as well. Only the second one they've played so far today, so they could be a team on the rise in terms of the overall standings.
Well, they started off strong. They got a second place result. They didn't get the highest amount of kills, but a good chunk to help themselves in the start to kick off a good run in the South Asia regional plays. Of course, they're looking to find that top spot, and the pressure, as much as they can say, look, they've got nothing to worry about, but the pressure of being associated with such a huge org has got to be on their mind.
Yeah, obviously a player that's used to that pressure, playing under immense, organizational support, would be Ronak, formerly on Seoul, who won back in spring. And for me, he was my MVP of the whole tournament. He had the most kills across the whole thing. I think it was 47, if I remember off the top of my head, but he was definitely the player that really impressed me. But obviously, whenever you speak about Seoul, it's always Mortal who's on your mind.
So we see this is the center of the circle position. It was between Mayhem and Enti, but now we see INS going up, hiding behind a rock.
We do indeed. Bishma with his AK up close. It's Salty Squad as well. We have 4 players in close proximity here. It's going to be a very awkward situation for Bishma to get much done, as he is reloading down to about 30% HP. Really just a sitting duck here. But then again, INS have the high ground here, as they have players that can try and back up Bishma.
And because INS do have the back-end support, it's stopping Salty from supporting AJ. The pre-firing from both players around that rock, trying to get the final blow.
Oh, AJ as well, trying to see if he can still spot out Bishma. If only we had a smoke maybe on the left or right side to allow for the flank for one of these players to get some work done. Grenades going in over the top, and actually it may do some damage to AJ. Instead it doesn't. Oh, just a little bit, but he is still fine. Second one as well, going to be dished out. Let's see if that has impact as well, but I think it's going to trickle down too far. Oh, nice. There we go. We have the down. So, finally some action coming in here as Bishma may try and capitalize off of that, but then again, the smoke going behind AJ as well means it's so hard for his team to back him up, but Bishma still fighting on.
But in fairness, he doesn't directly have to confirm that kill. Once he has that back-end support, it's going to be impossible for Salty Squad to get that revive up, although he's backing away.
Yeah, you can see he's got the down. Think of the resources as well. That's going to be expunged, just trying to get him back in. The utility, the smoke grenades, etc., to try and get him back up to full HP as well. You need the energy drinks and the med kits. That's going to be very taxing on them going into the later game. Attack from Entity. Spots out a few of the players here from ETG, trying his best to thread the needle here with the bullets, but can't quite land it. Iconic manages to escape away to another day. ETG Brawlers still the heavy favourites here.
So now we do see some of the teams that are rotating in. SYN coming in from the north. Elementrix coming in from the south. You have IND just a little bit ahead of Elementrix. All Nepali, Niho also going in past cave, getting close to the centre circle.
Speaking of the centre of the circle, I'm actually quite surprised how many teams we have comprised here in the centre.
We've only lost one player in Sandhawk 9 minutes in. These teams are respecting the map and respecting each other.
I think what's interesting as well is when you watch the online group stages, typically the action all went down in the 5th phase. Whereas here we are, I think Dave mentioned as well, in the 7th phase, there were still 10 teams alive. So very stark contrast, or excuse me, a large stark contrast between on-LAN versus online. The players having so much more confidence to go for those plays. Oasis as well with the scout down. Not sure which team that was onto, but either way, a pressure being applied.
And I do think that INS missed an opportunity to put pressure and take out at least one member right there, the AJ that got knocked. They should have pushed forward. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for being a little bit passive and being safe in the early game, but kills mean points. Points mean prizes, and you got to grab it when you have a chance. The work that they did to get that knockdown initially should have been rewarded.
It's interesting if you speak about prizes. We're here in the play-ins the first 2 days. Obviously, these teams aren't going to get that slot to the global finals or the prelims from the play-ins. However, what that means for a team like Orange Rock, who currently are struggling, is if they can weather the storm just today and tomorrow, everything is going to be reset when it comes to those last 3 days. They can try and get their mojo back. Oh, Cloak as well, spotted behind the rock, and eventually Jonathan will get him down. And I believe as well, Entity are going to go for that kill. They want the points, but a small little rock is making that quite awkward.
Good stuff coming out here from Entity. As I said, we're coming into getting closer to phase 2 popping up. Will it be a hard shift? Will it go quite central? Of course, we have about 15% of that phase 1 is water. But of course, we won't see water being eliminated from the circle until phase 4.
Could we potentially see teams take boats and try to go towards the eastern side?
Only you'd have to do that within the first 5 minutes.
Okay, we have some action here. Mayhem and Entity towards the bottom left of our screens here. Obviously, the map is extremely important, as well as the second airdrop has landed towards ETG Brawlers and Nepali Honey. But smoke grenade here as well onto this, I say compound, but more of a hut here on Sandhawk, as it's going to be Neo trying to apply the pressure early. Charges in with the backup as well of his team, as there's an exchange here. But it goes 1-for-1 so far. Jonathan goes for the reload, goes for the reface as well, and it's going to be the kill onto Reds.
So we see Jonathan is off. He's being one-man armor right now. Mayhem is there. He's dodge, ducking, dipping, and diving behind that rock. He has Vampire providing intel for him. He's going to actually back away. But you back away into the open, and you get shot from behind. Not a good decision.
Mayhem out 16th. And remember, they are currently 16th, so very important placement there for them, as it's not going to be looking too good for them going forward. But well played there as well from Neo and Co, as they did play it together. You saw Neo charging in with the support of his team. Very well played from them. We've gone Orc, A3. Not really the best weapon you'd want from the airdrop, but at least it will do. It's only the second one we've had so far.
Well, let's talk about loadouts, because I know in a couple of the interviews they've talked about which are their favourites. Of course, when you look at snipers, Car 98, very popular. When you're looking at the ARs, it's got to be M4 AKM. Of course, when we get to the likes of Vikendi and Sanhok, the G36 and the QBZ does come into play and is very widely popular for these players. We're seeing the action now starting to kick off as these teams are coming in. Reckoning Riser.
25 seconds remaining here before the blue zone starts to suffocate these players. Entity, Attack, going to have to be revived here shortly as he's onto low HP. Seems like Orange Rock have a foothold here against Entity, catching a few of the players off guard. Jonathan goes down. And a man now has a lot to do. His existence going to be into the open. Maybe trying to scout out some information. They can try and get a flank going on the side here. But Nia with the angle as well should be able to see the players from Orange Rock leaving. But then again, the contrary to that, Imperium, would be, does Orange Rock really have the confidence right now to go for those sorts of plays with how things have been shaping up so far?
That's the thing. Their mental state right now is not of confidence. They're playing passive, but they've got to forget that and be themselves. Reckoning are pinching Entity right now. That's something that we've got to be aware of. We've got about 6 or 7 teams, Alex, heading in around the center circle. Trust the Process, Fnatic, Orb, you have Nepali, Niho, and of course the teams that we have in front of us.
Oh, Nima from Skulty Squad going to be downed, but not out just yet. Some damage coming in from Final Boss as well onto a few of the players from Salty, so this is going to be quite an awkward exchange as Kisley comes charging in. Seems like one of the players is going to be alone. Not dispatched just yet. They're going to let him just stay down, almost like a bait, hoping that some of the players from Salty are going to try and survive and come in to try and revive, but looks like Avi's is going to be finishing off Nima here, and Vcash trying his hardest to get away, tries to prone on the ground to not be seen. This is very awkward here from Salty Squad. Again, 21st here on their favorite map. They need to do something.
They have to, but they're being put under pressure from behind. Final Boss comes in to put Salty under more pressure, leaving one member left on that squad. That is Vcash.
So, going to be entering into phase 3 fairly shortly. As you said, Vcash, from the angle as well. That's so awkward. Synergy Retribution going to be taking that kill as well. The points are theirs.
I do want to talk one real thing about what Mega did. It was Kiss. I forget the exactly now how to pronounce it. When he got the knock, he instantly proned. And that's such a little thing that you can do, because when you knock somebody down, you can get return knocked. But when you prone down instantly, there's a lot higher chance that you're not going to get spot out. Little things like that.
You're trying to say
really,
preemptive.
Pardon?
Preemptive.
Preemptive, like the preemptive fire and preemptive prone. It's great play coming out from Mega.
Oh, AWM in the third airdrop. Very interesting there. It's just outside the circle, I believe, but Elementrix may be frothing at the gills for that one.
But let's look at this. Nearly all of the teams are in the circle. We have, of course, 14 teams left, and only 3 of them are outside the circle. Elementrix, IND, and, of course, Blind.
Speaking of Elementrix, they are going to be picking up the AWM. That's going to be pivotal for going into the late game. Maybe not so much on Sanhok. Maybe they would have preferred that on Miramar, but either way, they'll take whatever they can. Still, we've got this awkward 3-way between Entity, Orange Rock, and then Reckoning Esports. It's quite funny, really. For Reckoning, they're last. For Orange Rock, they're nearly last. And then for Entity, they're doing so well, but there are only 3 players. So it's kind of this awkward stage where no one really wants to take a risk here.
But they are third place overall in the standings after 3 games. And I think that's a really important thing to mention, because Dave brought up a good point. These teams, they can only really afford to have 1 or 2 bad games at most.
Speaking of a team that's had a few bad games, Megastars currently leading the charge here. Obviously, we're only 15 minutes in. 3 kills for them, but they are in Group A, which means this is the last game they'll play today, and they're not doing well at all as compared to what we expected from them. So this is a map where maybe they can try and bounce back going into tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, as you said, this is very strange. 16 minutes played on Sanhok. 14 teams still remaining.
54 players, Alex. 54 players indeed. As Elementrix, they rotate in from the southwest direction. They've ETG ahead of them. They've Trust the Process ahead of them. They've IND to the right-hand side. As this battle still continues between the 3 teams of Reckoning, Entity, and Orange Rock, they are not moving a muscle because they are well inside the circle.
Imperium, who's your money on right now?
I would say Entity.
Go for it. Why? They've only got 3 players.
The reason why is because they're looking good overall in standings. They've had some solid results. They still have the guts of their strong players up for their side. And Orange Rock, they're down and defeated. Their confidence is low. I don't know if they can bounce back today, maybe tomorrow. But with the last game of the day for them, it's going to be very tough indeed.
So, Synergy Retribution in the center of our screens. Quite far apart from INS, and then obviously Entity and the other two remaining teams over there as well. Quite a void between these teams, but everyone's playing the long game. I think it's a situation where 14 teams still alive. You don't want to take the risk now and go out 13th, 12th, 11th just yet. It seems like as soon as it gets to the remaining 8 to 7 teams, that's where we start seeing players take risks.
Let's talk about this reckoning team. You talked about two of their players, probably the two best player names in my opinion.
Well, I mean, in terms of kills,
Don and Dave. Don and Dave
from East London.
Yeah.
Got 20 placement points going for a pad.
Sell you a shady carpet or something like that, you know?
Nah, I mean, it's all fun and games here. So, still waiting for some action to happen on Sandhawk. Never thought I'd be saying that one. Then again, what's also surprising to me, Imperium, is teams playing in the center of the ring. Obviously, whenever we talk about Sandhawk, it's always about the edge of the circle playstyle. And here, this time, they're playing contrary to that. But either way, Elementrix there towards the southwestern side of the map have the AWM. Maybe that can be quite awkward for Team IND and ETG Brawlers coming up soon.
So we saw this next phase is shifted up north. Fnatic are still inside the circle. You have, of course, Meg X. They've nobody around them. Look at that final boss. Kisley, Evie, Vex. They have the prime position. Of course, SYN, they're moving in. INS inside the circle. Orange Rock, they're down and defeated, but they do have the camping of the teams around them.
What is going on there?
What?
Trust the process? Whoa, okay. Trust the process, getting some kills onto Fnatic. Obviously, Fnatic coming second in the last one. This time, maybe not so strong. Trust the process, surprising everyone here so far, apart from yourself and Dave. But Synergy Retribution. It's going to be Kuro. Spots at a player there's Joker, but doesn't pull the trigger just yet. Maybe they're just trying to scout out some information, play the slow game. Now they know that Team INS are most likely going to be playing in the huts there.
Now we see ETG Brawlers getting on the knock feed, getting on the damage feed, looking to build up 3 chicken dinners in a row in the first 3 games of the day. It could be 4 in a row. Talking about it, I don't think I've ever seen it in this level of competitive play. And you can't sniff on all the teams here. They are all highly skilled, but it seems like the mental game has gone over to ETG Brawlers. Has that live buff hit them hard?
Mate. As soon as I saw Dark run over that player, I just knew we were in for a treat. So, again, Bishma obviously had a very awkward exchange earlier with Salty Squad, but managed to recover since then. But Team INS have been spotted out by Synergy Retribution, and here comes the stealth.